this movie! Oh! You ever have that gift that you didn't really want and you make it known when you get it, and then to your dread you discover that the person who gave it to you didn't keep the receipt and you realize you're stuck with it? Yeah, that's this movie. We have Bad Santa 2 now, and we didn't want it. We didn't ask for it. The first one was utterly wonderful as it was. The wonderful thing about Bad Santa, the original, it was directed by Terry Zwigoff, a director who you never would have thought to direct a lowbrow Christmas movie. And the funny thing is, in the hands of any other director, it would have been a very irredeemable film. But Terry Zwigoff, through his very strong direction and a much more disciplined script, were able to find the emotional heart to make us at the very least sympathize with this character. When he's surrounded by better people, he actually has the capacity to do better things for people. Sure, he's doing them in his own way, but the point is he's still doing them for other people, because that is the essence of Christmas. That's the healing power of Christmas, and you're supposed to show, even in a cynical man like Willie Soke, that it could have a positive influence on him. This movie was not directed by Terry Zwigoff, and oh baby does it show. We didn't ask for a Bad Santa 2. The original ended on a good, solid note. Yes, we don't know if he's actually going to get 100% better again, but at least we have the hope that he actually could. The whole point was that he was in jail. He was finally able to get clean. He was able, or not maybe get clean, but at the very least just find people who can help him get past his vices and try to be a better role model to Thurman, to actually be a better man. There was hope at the end of that movie. And now this movie begins, and we see that Willie has not changed. He is pretty much the same man as he was at the beginning of the first movie, except that he's out of his life of crime. And that doesn't help. It just means that he's just one little step back into being himself. And the step comes when he's pretty much reteaming with the guy who tried to kill him. I'm sorry. No matter how sweet the take, you don't work with someone who tried to kill you, no matter how desperate you are. One of the principal rules of any sequel is you do not destroy the development from the previous film, and that's what this film did. It's a well-known fact, comedy sequels, to find a good one is insanely rare. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the people who made the first film pretty much blew their wad making a good first movie, that when the demand comes for a sequel, they're like, oh god, now I gotta come up with a whole bunch of other stuff. There was no good story for this, and they tried to add stuff in order to give some new aspects to the character, but it all fails. It's all stuff that pretty much you could guess based on what he says in the first movie. He already said that, yes, he had a bad childhood. Going back and facing this bad childhood was not going to give us any new insight into the character. And the thing is, if they're just going to throw away all the development from the first movie, you might as well get rid of Thurman Merman. Everything he could have potentially contributed to this film is, well, for the most part, pretty much pointless. And anytime you see the character Willie trying to go on a better route because of Thurman, it is utterly forced, it's superficial, and any scene with Thurman feels utterly awkward. They had no concept of how to write Thurman at this age, to the point where he comes off as incredibly creepy. This movie labors under the apprehension that Thurman was a mentally challenged child. Socially awkward, definitely. Sheltered, absolutely. But he was not in any way mentally handicapped. The kid was able to go from his house to the mall on his own. Inevitably, through Willie's help, was able to learn to defend himself. The child learned. And with that influence of being able to assert himself a bit more, he actually probably could have been able to be a better person. So by the time he gets to 21, he probably would have been, at the very least, a more self-sufficient person. But the writers of this movie just wanted to focus on him as this quirky, awkward kid, and they did nothing to show that this kid actually may have benefited from Willie's influence. The only bit of praise I can give is that they know, at least they understand that Willie would go, kid, don't hang out with me. They've got them robbing a homeless shelter, or like a Salvation Army-esque type thing, which of course immediately, that's even worse because you're robbing poor people. But they try desperately, in a very desperate bid, to try and make us say, oh, okay, they're robbing a shelter. They try to make the guy who runs it a bastard in his own right, and that it doesn't work. It honestly doesn't work. It doesn't get deep into, apart from the fact he's sleeping around with another woman, and the fact, and they even say, oh, he's shaving off funds for his own private account. I'm like, And even then, you find out, I don't care about spoiler warnings. I don't want you seeing this movie. And all this is coming from Kathy Bates' character, his mother, who she winds up being a turncoat at the very end. So how can we even determine whether or not her claims are legitimate either? So all we know is that the guy's a bastard sleeping around against his wife. And let's get on the subject of his wife, played by Christina Hendricks. You are better than this, Christina Hendricks! She looks like she really doesn't want to be there. Well, you know what? Get in line. Why would she ever go for this guy? There's no rhyme or reason as to why Christina Hendricks in any way wants to actually sympathize with Willie. Willie makes no effort whatsoever to show that he's capable of any kind of redemptive arc, and it is fake sentiment. And then you got Kathy Bates in this movie. How many times have we seen Kathy Bates play this kind of character, this bad mom? If you want to see her in more outrageous performances, like where she's really like, holy hell, watch her in American Horror Story. Every single season she's in American Horror Story, she's always playing a much more interesting, much more multidimensional character. But then you got this caricature with completely inconsistent character moments. They try to wrap it up nicely where Willie's saying, like, if the life you had was crap, get rid of it and focus on the better things you had now. Oh, gee, let me see. Wasn't that what you were trying to say in the first movie? Yeah, practice what you preach, movie. Now, in the previous film, the humor is scatological. It is lowbrow. But the thing is, it never resorted to cheap, cartoony tactics. There was never any cartoon erections or any kind of silly caricature characters, just awkward characters. John Ritter's character may have been the silliest character in the movie, but even then, I've seen people like John Ritter's character. There's a security guard character I swear to God, I thought I saw him in an episode of Bob's Burgers. The humor in this film is indicative of the Hollywood machine, where they think they have a good peg on what made the original work. That's when you come to the realization that you as the viewer are way smarter than the studio. You get the vibe that they don't actually watch the movies they trot out. The movie as a whole doesn't really make any kind of logical sense, and any outrageous humor just comes off as desperate. It comes off as having absolutely no basis in reality whatsoever. See, at least in the original Bad Santa, anytime you saw him hook up with someone, most of them were either prostitutes or people who are promiscuous just by their very nature, or you have Lauren Graham's character who had a lot of heart and who said, no, I get off on Santa. I dig Santa. Whereas in this movie, you got him in a tryst with Christina Hendricks in a Christmas tree lot, forcing her to say, fuck Santa, fuck Santa, fuck Santa. First off, having her say that because first movie, she even makes it clear that she's not into that. This movie forcing someone to say, fuck me, Santa, truth be told, that is a metaphor for pretty much the studio's mentality of trotting this movie through. This entire thing is the studio trying to do us on both sides, like trying to get you to enjoy saying, fuck me Santa, fuck me Santa, fuck me Santa. Well, because you know what? That's kind of how I felt. I felt like Christina Hendricks' character during that scene where I was like going, yeah, fuck me Santa, fuck me Santa. Yeah, you definitely did. You definitely did. Yep, you're fucking Christmas. In the end, I suppose, not every Christmas gift you get for Christmas is going to be a winner. Sometimes you're going to get the lump of coal, or sometimes, in this case, a lump of shit. There's no logical rhyme or reason or purpose as to why this movie even needs to exist, apart from cashing in on what sort of nostalgia one has from watching the original Bad Santa. And you know what? I watch Bad Santa all the time. Every year I make it a point to watch it because it's supposed to reinforce the idea that Christmas is a time for healing, even for the lowest of the low. It's supposed to hit home the idea that even the worst of us can find something about Christmas that can help us aspire to be a better person. This movie completely craps on that concept, and if you want to maintain what goodwill you had for the first movie, do not watch Bad Santa 2. So for this Christmas review, I'm going to give it a Narcotic Casserole rating of a plate of... Do you agree? I'm not going to ask if you disagree. I'm pretty sure if you're an intelligent human being, you better agree. Just don't even bother. You agree with me. I know you do. If you have any good sense, you do. Just like, share, subscribe, and just comment down there and how much you agree with me. And for more festive content than Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click, and thou shalt be served something else that's not this movie.